The January transfer window is upon us. I hope you're all having an amazing Christmas time, but right around the corner is the new year, and that means that it's the January transfer window and it's opening up. And this is the point of the season where Chelsea have had their most success in recent seasons under Clearlake Capital, which I know is a crazy statement to make, but arguably, that's where we've had our most success. We've been able to sign players that we wanted. That's so crazy. We've spent nearly £1 billion and we've changed basically nothing on the pitch. We're still struggling. We're still not looking great. I know we've got a tough fixture list at the moment in terms of what these games look like, and they come really, really quickly at Christmas. But this is where we can impact and change the second half of the season. The January transfer window. It's where Chelsea can act and other teams can't. Because most teams wait till the end of the season. But then if Chelsea act in January, like we did last year with Enzo, we can get the deal done. The same with Mudryk as well. We got these deals done. Questionable how well they've done for Chelsea after a year, but that's what we're looking at. We can get these deals done. So we're going to, in this video, talk about 3 ins and 3 outs that I think need to happen for Chelsea in this January transfer window. But before we do, it's Christmas time. If you're new to the channel, I'd love you to subscribe. I'm on the road to 2,500 subscribers, and I want you to join us in getting there. If you can like the video, I'd appreciate it as well. Share it to all your friends, and let me know in the comments who you think Chelsea have to sign and have to sell. Give me 1 player in and 1 player out. I'd love to know your thoughts down below. And let's get into it. The first player we're going to talk about is an out. I think outs are really important for Chelsea in this January transfer window because we're talking about some players that shouldn't be leaving before we're talking about some players that should. And the first name on my list is Ian Maatsen. Ian Maatsen, for me, has proven that he isn't good enough for Chelsea Football Club. He has had chances, albeit not loads, but he's made quite a few appearances. I don't think he's ever been good enough in one. I've not seen any glimpses. I thought he had an okay pre-season, but Pochettino obviously isn't backing him now in terms of game time because he could have picked him and he picked Colwill 9 times out of 10 when that decision's come his way. So I think for me, Ian Maatsen's had his best days away from Chelsea Football Club. I don't think he's signing a contract. Time to move him on. And I'm sure for him, that'll be the best thing possible, to be honest. And Poch made a comment about players sulking when they're not playing before the Wolves game. And I genuinely think he's one of these players. So for me, I think it's time to move on Ian Maatsen. You've had your chance. You didn't take it. Simple as that. Number 2, the first in for Chelsea Football Club. This one for January could be a bit of a stretch, but I think this is a must for Chelsea Football Club. And I know everyone will say, yeah, oh, of course, that's the dream, whatever. But hear me out on this one. I think we need to go and sign Lautaro Martinez. I know the name was chucked about a little bit last year, but right now he's one of the most informed strikers in the world. I think we're talking about nearly 20 goal involvements and about 15 of them are goals in about 16 games. This guy is a leader. He's the captain. He's scored like nearly 20 goals every season or double figures at least for Inter Milan for the last few. His age is the right side of where we need to be signing players. He can make instant impact, and I think he'd be fantastic, especially under Pochettino, who, when he wasn't coaching, went out to watch this guy and basically suggested that this is his perfect type of striker. I want to see it happen. I don't care what that costs, but we're not scared of spending money. The problem is where we are. Would he actually want that move if we're not competitive? That's the difficult one. That's why my other 2 January signings that have to come in will take us to that level, because it's so important that the signings we're making now as a club are actually going to elevate us. Not for the future, I mean instantly. So, back to the out. The second out that I want to see leave Chelsea Football Club this January transfer window, ludicrous as it might sound, and it only happens if we get someone in, is Broja. I'll be honest with you. I know he put up the post saying, be patient with me, a year ago this. But before that injury, he had a good little spell at Southampton, but never really did much. He had a lot of raw speed, but never really did much. he's had his chance. He had a chance before that. He didn't take it. He got the injury. He now doesn't look as he doesn't look as good as what he did before. I don't think the pace is there. And he's missed some pretty big chances. And I just watch him and I don't feel like that's the person I'd ever feel confident being Chelsea's backup striker, let alone lead the line. I think it's time to cash in on him. And you'll notice there's a theme with the three players is they are all clear profit as well. And I think that's essential to Todd Boehly and how he wants to sell players. Is he wants to get it on the books as clear profit. And Broha has to go for me. I don't know where. I don't know if it's a loan deal really, but I think it's better to sell him and then it's not our worry. And if he ever does well, we can buy him back. Simple as that. But I'd probably like to see him be moved on. The incoming that I would like to see as number 2 is a more... It's a difficult one. It's a more creative sort of player that I want to see in the midfield because right now, I don't feel like we've got that. I don't feel like Chelsea have the right type of player that suits the possession-based game that we're playing. I think Connor's been very good driving with the ball, interceptions, winning tackles high up the pitch, far down the pitch. He's got a lot of energy to give and a lot of enthusiasm, and he's the type of player that I think works really well under Poch. Caicedo next to him is okay. I think his game's getting better, but I think he's very limited. And when we're in possession, all of a sudden, you start to look at it and go, hang on, these two players aren't going to unlock what's in front of us. And I think that's why we're struggling so much with a low block. We really, really are. And that's why I want to see Chelsea bring... And look, I don't think there's a player out there good enough or acceptable enough as a transfer for Chelsea right now that could come in and play like the Cesc Fabregas role. And I don't really think that's there. And I also feel like that's probably Enzo's best position. So I feel like we need to go and get a creative player to play in and around the 10 and start making things happen. And that player for me is Lucas Paquetá. That's it. I know he was going to go City. I know he was going to have potential allegations against him. But this guy's a genius of a footballer. And I actually think if you had him, he can score goals. He's a threat. I think with Cole Palmer, this could be a lively, creative sort of force that we'd have. I know he could be a bit similar to Nkunku, but I don't think he's as much of a goal threat as Nkunku. I think he's a bit more of a creative. I'd love to see him at Chelsea. I think he'd be great for us. Get in there before City, because he'll probably end up going there. I think this would be an unbelievable signing. And I actually think it could happen in January because he wanted to leave in the summer and it didn't happen. I know West Ham might want to sell him, but if the money's right, why not? Yes, it'll be a premium. It was going to be a lot for Manchester City. But why don't we nip in the door and get this guy over the line? I think it'd be great. If you actually look at Manchester City, it's everything they don't have at the moment. I think he'd be an exceptional signing. And if we could get that done, then why not? And I'll tell you what, if we can't get that done, there's 2 other players I'd go and try and question West Ham about and get that done. And that's Jared Bowen and Kudus. The fact we let Kudus go that easy in the summer is a joke. This guy is the nuts. He's obviously going AFCON, which is a bit of a shame because I always feel like with January transfer window, and if AFCON's on at the same time, it makes things very difficult. But my number 2 is Lucas Paquetá because I think he's instant impact. This guy is a top player and he comes with a lot of vision and a lot of creativity. And I feel like if Poch is going to sit with those 2 in the pivot, you need more creativity than just Cole Palmer. And he needs to kind of benefit Cole Palmer as well. They're not going to get in each other's way. And I do think they have slightly similar games. And I think they play really well alongside each other. So why not go and ask questions? West Ham have got at least 3 players I'd take off their hands. And I think they could probably all be realistic that one could happen. Why not? Number 3 of the outgoings. This one for me is... I feel a bit sad about this one because I feel like he's not really been given a chance. I feel like Trevor Chalobah never even really got a sniff under Pochettino, and apparently it's injuries, and apparently he's back training now. But we've signed so many defenders. Apparently we're trying to sign more as well. Whilst Reece James has been injured and things like that as well, you think he would have got the chance because Trev could have played right back. He could have played centre back. He's been a goal threat for Chelsea. He had an amazing time in the team where he didn't even lose a game. He's won things at Chelsea Football Club that other people haven't managed to win. He's broken through the academy. I feel like he would have been a great player in terms of having someone that had come through Cobham. We know his brother was Chelsea as well, and I just feel like it's a shame it's not really worked out, but I think he needs to go and get a move because I think Trev's a good player. I just think his days at Chelsea are over and we might as well cash in. There was obviously big money talk about the Bayern Munich move. Obviously, I don't know if that's going to still happen, but they're actually really struggling. They sold Pavard in a very similar role and it's not happened. Trev for a team in three at the back is a great defender to have. I've got a funny feeling Chelsea's success might lie with three at the back again. But right now, I unfortunately don't think that means Trevor Chalobah finds his way back into Chelsea's squad. And for that reason, he's clear profit as well. We might as well fix up the books and get as much money as we can for Trevor Chalobah, which is a real shame to see him go. I got no bad word to say about Trev. I think he's good enough to play for Chelsea. But we're not going to realistically sell any of the players that we've recently bought in to make way for Trev to get back into the team, which is a bit of a shame. I think that's probably what's going to happen. So that's my third out. Let me know what you think about my outs in the comments down below. The last in, and the big one we need to talk about, it's a goalkeeper. It's a goalkeeper. And I know we've signed Sanchez, but his distribution's been absolutely woeful. It's just not good enough. I actually think as a shot stopper, he's pretty solid. I think he makes a lot of good saves. I think he does fairly okay from crosses. I think he commands his area fairly well, communicates well. It's his distribution. He can't do it and he's not learning from it. He's not stopping, which I'm struggling with because time and time again, all of a sudden you feel a threat from nowhere, somewhere you shouldn't feel a threat from. Sanchez causes it. I know Petro's come in and he's looked okay and he made a great penalty save, but he don't even want to kick the ball, and that's never going to work under Pochettino, and he's probably a good backup. But right now, I think we need to go and sign a goalkeeper. I really do. I think it's essential. I know there's talk about another centre-back, and I know there's talk about another left-back and full-back, but we still have a lot of players. If we go and sign players in these positions, we've still got players to come back from injury and it's just going to get a bit mad. We just need to actually assess at the end of the season the fullback area, I think. Make do with it for this season and then hope that players come back from injury and can stay fit. It's really difficult, I know, but right now, as much as I don't agree with it, leave Levi Colwell there. Or if we can find, like, Gusto is our only right back, really. Disasi is obviously back up to that. On the left side of things, apparently Chilwell's on his way back, which might mean that actually is why Maatsen could go. Because there could be a left back and backup, which is, you can get by with that. And Pochettino, don't forget, played Vertonghen at left back for the longest time at Spurs. So he doesn't mind playing a centre back there. And I think if you look at those two players, Colwell and Vertonghen, they're in similar moulds in how they play. Anyway, goalkeeper. I've said it time and time again. We have to sign Mike Maignan. This guy, every time I watch him for AC Milan, is fantastic. He's the only goalkeeper to have 3 assists in the last 3 seasons. It means that every season he's managed to get 1. That doesn't happen for goalkeepers that often. This guy's distribution is great. His shot stopping is fantastic. And his concentration levels are so high. Don't give me Ramsdale. Don't give me Pickford. Don't give me these other players that just aren't good enough for Chelsea. I don't want to see it. Go and sign him. He's instant impact. I know it's ambitious with where we are in the table, but look at Newcastle. Newcastle went and signed big names and said, we're going to get there. And they were like, okay, I'll buy into it. Why not? Go and do the same, Chelsea. Go for the big names, tell them the project and say, look, how can we not succeed with players as good as you? Simple as that. And try and get this done. I don't care what it costs. Because right now, we've spent $1 billion and it hasn't worked. We need to probably be shrewder, but to be honest with you, until that recruitment team are really feet under the door, that won't start happening. So go and sign the players that are proven for the last few seasons. Don't go and sign players that are flavour of the month and doing well for a few games, because we've done that in this recruitment strategy last few transfer windows and it's not really worked out. Let me know your comments down below, your thoughts on who we should sign, who we shouldn't sign. Do you agree with any of mine? I know everyone's going to talk about Osimhen and talk about Conor Gallagher, but right now, Osimhen's just signed a contract. I don't see that happening because of AFCON. I'd love him. Why not? If we can, make that happen. And Conor Gallagher, we should not be discussing one of the best midfielders in terms of stats and numbers in the Premier League this season. For his type of game, we should be talking about selling him for 50 million as well. Do one. That is a ridiculous thing that we should not be entertaining. Conor Gallagher goes nowhere. I'll see you in the next one. Hope you have a great New Year's, and I'll see you after that in a bit.